cracking, everybody? Welcome to Boo TV. While you're here, do me a big favor and like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you stay notified whenever we upload a new video. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate you for watching. Thanks for the support, and let's get into the topic for today. Recently, during a live basketball game, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Miami Heat, Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were the commentators on set, and Van Gundy had this to say about Anthony Davis.
Had a Hall of Fame career. He's played at that point was playing as well as he's played in the league.
Are you sure right now if he ended today he'd be a Hall of Fame?
No. He's from day one to this point he's had a Hall of Fame route. He's on pace. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I'm not sure because of the injuries. He's just not been unavailable so often. I think it's hard to say that as the Lakers come out in a zone.
There you have it. Van Gundy is not sure if Anthony Davis right now deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And I get where he's coming from. I 100% get where he's coming from. But I think the problem is a little bit nuanced. And before I get into it, let me first say this. I've been on record right here on this channel before saying that I don't believe Anthony Davis right now is a top 75 player of all time. I was extremely pissed off when Anthony Davis made the top 75 list, while there were other players which at the time, maybe even still now, had better long tenured careers than Anthony Davis and didn't make the squad, didn't make the top 75 lists. There were several players that I thought should have been in there before Anthony Davis. I didn't even think Damian Lillard right now is a top 75 player, and he made the list. So I don't even think Anthony Davis is a top 75 player. All right. Now, when we're talking about the Hall of Fame, I get where Van Gundy is coming from, because if I had any say in the caliber of players that get into the Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis would not be in my NBA Hall of Fame as of right now, because he's been largely unavailable. Hasn't had a whole lot of playoff success outside of the bubble. But more so because of his inavailability, right? Despite when he does play, he puts up decent numbers most nights to really good numbers sometimes. But the problem is, when you look at the players that are in the Hall of Fame now, you cannot justify not putting Anthony Davis in. Even if his career ended right now, Anthony Davis is a Hall of Famer when you look at the other people that are in the Hall of Fame. Case in point, Yao Ming is in the NBA Hall of Fame. Yao Ming, I haven't looked at this, but based off what how my memory serves me, I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis has even played more games than Yao. I'm not fact checking this. Matter of fact, let me fact check it. Yes, I'm right. Yao Ming played about 486 games, and Anthony Davis has played over 600 games. Anthony Davis has played more games and has an NBA championship. If Yao Ming is in the Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis belongs in the Hall of Fame too. All right. There are other players that have had really high highs and then have had injuries that has derailed their careers. Tracy McGrady is in the Hall of Fame. Tracy McGrady, I stand by it. Tracy McGrady is one of the greatest scorers I have ever seen in my life. Tracy McGrady, in my opinion, is a top 5 NBA scorer of all time. And not just, he was an all-around basketball player. Wasn't the best defensively, but he was an underrated playmaker and a phenomenal scorer, right? And at the height of Tracy McGrady's career, he was arguably the best player in the league, right up there. It was Kobe versus T-Mac for a long time, for a stretch of years. But injuries derailed T-Mac, and he never had a complete career. But Tracy McGrady's in the Hall of Fame. All right? You even look at other players. Dikembe Mutombo is in the Hall of Fame. Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame. I love Ben Wallace. Phenomenal defensive player. Extremely underrated. But if Ben Wallace is in the Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis belongs in the Hall of Fame too. All right, you see where I'm going with this? If you look at the people that's already in there, there's no way you can keep Anthony Davis out. Now, if we redid everything, change the standards by which a player can get into the NBA Hall of Fame, by all means, Anthony Davis not yet will be in my NBA Hall of Fame. Absolutely not. He ain't gonna be there, and I'd be hard pressed to even put some other people in there that are in there right now. All right, the NBA Hall of Fame even has NBA players that were largely role players, but had great team success within their role, and they have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. All right, so you see where I'm going? I get where Van Gundy's coming from. I really, really do. But when you look at some of the other players that's on there, yeah, you can't leave Anthony Davis off. Vlade Divac is in the NBA Hall of Fame. No disrespect to Vlade. I loved him as a player. But come on, man. Vlade Divac wasn't no perennial NBA superstar, all-star for an extended period of time. Come on, man. What are we talking about? If Vlade Divac is in the NBA Hall of Fame, then Anthony Davis belongs in the NBA Hall of Fame. So I get where they're coming from, but come on, buddy. Tony Kukoc, another one. If Tony Kukoc is in the NBA Hall of Fame, Anthony Davis should be in the NBA Hall of Fame too. I know Kukoc has more rings, being with the Chicago Bulls, but at the end of the day, he was a really good role player who could step into a leading role if need be. But he wasn't no Anthony Davis. And I don't even like Anthony Davis, dog. I really don't. His demeanor, like that stretch of games that he had this season where he was really turning up and really asserting himself, that's what I've always wanted to see from Anthony Davis. But he's so coy, he's so meek, he's usually unassertive. He doesn't really apply himself as much as he should on a regular basis. Up until that stretch he had when LeBron James was out, and he had to have a sit down with the coach, be like, "Dude, we need you to get engaged." But that hasn't been Anthony Davis his whole career. Like, you see what the guy is capable of if he puts his mind to it, but he doesn't come out with that rigor all the time. But nonetheless, like I said, this guy belongs in the Hall of Fame, given some of the inductees that are already there. But if I could redo it myself, if I could make my own NBA Hall of Fame list, probably 30%, 40% of the people on there now wouldn't even be on there. And Anthony Davis, he is not on my top 75 players of all time. Neither is Damian Lillard. Make that very clear. But that's just my opinion. I get where you're coming from, Van Gundy. I really do. But given the standard by which players make the NBA Hall of Fame now, and what history has shown us, that by that criteria, Anthony Davis meets that criteria. At a minimum, meets it. Probably even excels. Anthony Davis is a future Hall of Famer. Let me know what you think about it. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you. Catch you guys on the next one. We out, baby.